Hi class, this is Professor Smith. I'm going to be doing a movie on the last two problems of sample test 1 on chapter 3. In this example, we have for the polynomial below, 1 is a 0. So if we know that 1 is a 0, we know that x equal to 1 is going to be a solution. In other words, if we substitute in 1 for x, we'll get 0, or f of 1 is equal to 0. We also know that x minus 1 will be a factor. Subtracting 1 from both sides, we have x minus 1 equals 0. So we know that f of x will have the factor x minus 1. So we're going to use synthetic division to find out how x equal to 1 divides into our polynomial x cubed plus 5x squared minus 2x minus 4. So I've copied the values for synthetic division using Word, so let me open up Word. Coefficient of x cubed is 1. The coefficient of 5x squared is 5. The coefficient of subtracted 2x or plus a negative 2x is negative 2. And the coefficient of subtracted 4 or plus a negative 4 is negative 4. And then we have x equal to 1 as our divisor. Pardon me, we have x equal to 1 is going to be used in the synthetic division. X minus 1 is the divisor. All right, so the first rule is you pull down the first number, which is 1, and then we multiply 1 times 1, and when we multiply 1 times 1, what we have then is just 1, woo! So here's 1 times 1, and that gives us the 1 that goes there. And then 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. And then we do the multiplication all over again. So we take 1 times 6, and 6 times 1 is 6. And then when we add negative 2 plus 6, that gives us 4. And then we do the multiplication again. 1 times 4 is 4. And then when we add negative 4 and 4, we get 0, which is what we would expect because 1 is a 0, and so the remainder would be 0. So now that we have our values after we have done our synthetic division, we can create our new polynomial. 1 will be the coefficient of the first term, 6 will be the coefficient of the second, and 4 will be the coefficient of the third. So we'll have 1, and then you figure, well, how do I know what the power of the polynomial will be? Well, if we take x cubed and divide it by x in the expression x minus 1, that's going to leave us with x squared. So we're going to have x squared. So we have 1x squared plus 6x plus 4. And now we can factor the remaining quadratic x squared plus 6x plus 4. So I look at 4 and I say, are there factors of 4 that add up to 6? And I quickly come to the conclusion, not so much. So since there aren't any factors of 4 that add up to 6, then, because the only factors of 4 are 2 and 2 and 4 and 1. And there's no way you can add those up. 2 plus 2 gives you 4. 4 plus 1 gives you 5. So then I realized that it does not factor over the rationals. So we're going to use the quadratic formula. So let's revisit what's the quadratic formula. So now we have the quadratic formula. X is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. By finding the zeros of the remaining quadratic, that allows us to find the factors. For our particular problem, a is going to equal 1, b will equal 6, and c will equal 4. Substituting in our values, we have the following. X equal to the opposite of 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4 all over 2 times 1. When we simplify, we have the opposite of 6, and 6 squared is 36, minus 16, and 36 minus 16 is 20. Root 20 can be simplified. It's the square root of 4 times the square root of 5, and the square root of 4 is 2, so then it's equal to 2 root 5. 2 is divisible by each of the terms. 2 goes into negative 6, it goes into 2 root 5 and also 2, so dividing each term, top and bottom, by 2, we have equal to negative 3 plus root 5. Pardon me, plus or minus root 5. So our two answers are negative 3 plus root 5 and x equal to negative 3 minus root 5. Subtracting the root, negative 3 plus root 5, from both sides, which is equivalent to adding a 3 and subtracting a root 5, we have the following. And then we do the same for the second root, adding a 3 and adding a root 5. Then we have x plus 3 plus root 5. So those will be two factors, since x equal to minus 3 plus root 5 and negative 3 minus root 5 are the zeros. So we're going to multiply all three factors. X minus 1 from our first expression when we had x equal to 1 as a 0. So we will then multiply the following. We'll multiply x minus 1. We'll then also multiply x plus 3 plus root 5, and then we'll multiply x plus 3 minus root 5. So multiplying all those three together will give us a polynomial with roots 1, negative 3 plus root 5, negative 3 minus root 5. So let's multiply all those values together. So if we were to multiply all three of those together, so that would give us the original polynomial x cubed plus 5x squared minus 2x minus 4. So now we can rewrite that polynomial with these factors. X minus 1 yielding you a 0 of 1, and then x plus 3 minus root 5, and then x plus 3 plus root 5. So I'm going to copy that, Command C on a Mac, Command V as in Victor on a, oh, it didn't let me copy it. It sure didn't. Probably because they don't want you to paste in the answers from Wolfram Alpha or something, maybe. So x plus 3. Oh, you know why? I'm on Safari. If I was on Chrome, I'm taking the test on Safari, it would work. So those are the linear factors. I will stop now and I will do another movie on problem number 13.